I just got back from my military training a couple days ago. Just spent time with my family when I got home. But everything just seems to kind of go crazy these days. I mean, a lot of things have affected our training while we were there. The fires in California and the COVID had caused some issues there that was unpreventable, and it caused a lot of problems during training. I mean, we were having issues. They were having issues getting us a proper schedule on when our training was going to be, and sometimes we wouldn't get any information until like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, the day prior, the day of when the train is supposed to be going. I mean, there was one at one point in time the fire was close enough that we could actually see it from where we were at, but they were combating it in that area for a couple of days, and in the last few days there, they finally managed to get it controlled and pushed back away from the actual base. And then there's all these other things that have been going on in this country. I feel I should point out my stance for those of you who may not know or don't understand. I mean, you could probably call me a Republican, but I base my decisions on the Constitution. You have a right to protest, peacefully protest, matter of fact, not riot. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I'm a strong supporter of that. But it doesn't mean you can't, doesn't mean I think you should own one if you don't want one. I'm saying if you want to own a firearm, you can own a firearm. And that does include AR-15s in my opinion. Or that type of platform. They're not full auto. They're more of something for in the event you're like hiking down the woods and a bear attacks you out of nowhere. A bolt action rifle is not gonna slow that thing down fast enough for you to get out of the way. But having an AR platform, you have that 30 rounds, that semi-auto capability where you put enough rounds downrange to slow that bear down to make sure you live and you can go home to your family. I own a couple firearms myself, and I'll show you to them. Show them to you. Because I've actually come to like these firearms myself. And I've had them for a little while. First one is the PX4 Storm. This is the first and only pistol I have bought since I got my permit to carry. And I have it so emptied and to slide back to the rear because when handling it like this, there's a chance you could probably set it off, and I don't want to set it off and shoot myself. And you notice how I'm holding it, where my fingers are away from the trigger as well. You always got to think of weapon safety when handling any form of weapons. I mean, where I keep my firearms, either I'm in that room or it's locked. Unless in an event I feel like I need to have this loaded and by my bedside because some stuff is going on and I'm concerned for my family. That's the only reason I will use this on an individual is self-defense. and usually this is what you want to use in home situations or crowded areas. Well, I shouldn't say you shouldn't shoot at crowded areas, but it's probably come time you need to, and you want something that's not going to have a really strong penetration like a rifle would. And this is actually chambered in .45 caliber, and this is the rounds I usually keep in it. It's a hollow point. I'm not versed on exact details on what type of hollow point it is. I just know it's a hollow point. And then there's a rifle I bought for hunt that I plan to use to hunt with, and that's it's a Savage Axis 6.5 Creedmoor bolt action rifle, and I keep that actually mounted up above, and no rounds in it. But this is it. I will be using this for hunting instead of shooting. I don't use it for anything else. I wouldn't be using it for anything else but hunting and target practice. And I've come to really like this rifle. I mean, I haven't had it that long, but I really like it. I mean, it's got a removable mag. It only holds 4 rounds. I could get more. I'm probably gonna get more magazines for it. But it's bolt action, and no mag. I have no mag, and I don't have a finger on the trigger. But you also gotta maintain. I try to maintain it the best I can, and keeping it where I want it. But I always keep it somewhere where I can have an eye on it, and most of the time ammos are not around my own weapons unless I feel like I need to have it loaded. And that's kind of part of these days. I do keep my pistol loaded more times these days than I usually do. But I understand people understand why that's going on. And I'll get to my thoughts on that area. But this is the 6.5 Creedmoor round. They say it's a neck down. It's a neck down 308 shell, and this is 6.5. You can almost. Some people could probably mistake the bullet for almost 5.56 or /223, but it's a little bit bigger than those. And back to these political stuff, I don't judge people based off of their political stance, their ideologies. I base my decision on the person they are, base my decision on them by their actions. Okay? And I'm sorry, but most of the people I see who have real poor actions are claiming they're Antifa or Black Lives Matter. Okay, I'm not saying all people in those organizations are bad people. I'm just saying a lot of them seem like they are bad people. Especially the ones that go out stealing from stealing from businesses that have done nothing to them, or burning down businesses that have done nothing to them, burning down an apartment complex, attacking people that have not done anything to them personally, and leaving them in a bloody mess on the street. These are the kind of people I don't like, and that goes for both sides. Okay, you got extremists on both sides of the political aisle. I understand that. I don't like being considered, oh, you support this, so you're part of this group of bad people. No, It's not like that. I support the Constitution, and that means anything in the Constitution is legal. And me owning a firearm is legal. Me saying that I think all these athletes that kneel during the national anthem are fucking idiots. They're causing... But they're idiots. Because they are pretty much, causing some people to lose sports, interest in sports. Viewerships have gone down in a lot of sports because it's become political. People were watching sports to get away from the political stuff and to kind of unwind. But now that you're bringing politics into them, they're going to start steering away from them. And I support Blue Lives Matter. I support my black friends. I support my Asian friends. I support everyone that treats everyone with respect. And condemning a whole group based on the actions of a few is not how you do things. Because, yes, you've got crummy cops. And yes, you've got crummy people at protests that turn it into a riot. But basing your decisions on just a couple people for a whole group is not how you're supposed to do things. And let me put it this way. I actually went and talked to some people that had a little Black Lives Matter protest here where I was at. And yes, there's no violent altercations. We talked about things, and there is some common ground in some of these aspects. Yes, the bad officers need to be taken care of. And if an officer continuously has shown signs of more aggressiveness towards an individual of a certain race than others, then it needs to be looked at. But I'm saying that we can't go after all police officers, because now look at some of these cities that have defunded their police department and their crime has risen. I mean, I believe in the death penalty in certain occasions. I mean, like mass murder. That would result deliberately, and that means without any doubt that person deliberately killed all those individuals. That individual should be executed. I feel that a lot of criminals would disappear because, not necessarily like disappear, more like disappear from the crime aspect if they start fearing certain aspects of the law. And I know some people will like to argue that that's just cruel and unusual, but yeah, it's your opinion. You're entitled to have your opinion. I'm entitled to have my opinion, and I don't believe in abortion, and my taxes should not be going to pay for an abortion. I believe that if you feel like you need an abortion, that's up to you, and whatever religion you support, if you do. But I feel that my tax dollars should not go to pay for you to get one. And I believe a lot of these government assistance programs were originally designed to give people a hand up, not a hand out. And I think people who refuse to work and get a job and just live off government assistance, they're a problem to society. If they're not willing to work for something, yet to keep demanding more and more from the people that do work, eventually you're going to run out of people that do work, and there's going to be no money to support these programs. And I believe in limited government. Government should not be saying, hey, you can't say this because we consider it hate speech. I mean, I've got a buddy that we joke around about each other's race. I mean, because my buddy's a Vietnamese, and I make fun of him, and he makes fun of me. See, and neither one of us have a problem with it. That's how it should be. If someone aggressively continues to call you some, like, pretty much bullying, then that can be considered hate speech. But if it's just a jab or something, you don't need to get it all bent out of shape, because it's just going to hurt you more than that it's going to hurt them. And it's because people are going to start looking down at you and not want to talk to you, because they don't know if you're going to turn them in for very little reasoning. Wow, that's going to a little longer. Then, sexual orientation. Pedophilia is not a sexual orientation, and I am adamant about that. There's no reason why pedophilia should be considered a sexual orientation, because kids can be coerced into doing things that are not right. I don't do it, but I've seen it happen. Not sexual, but other things. And you also have the transgender, the bisexual, gay, lesbian. I don't care your sexual preferences. Yes, I believe in God, but I have a belief that if he truly didn't want those sexual orientations, those versions of the sexual orientations, he would not let them happen. But there is still evil in this world, and I believe that that those even that have supported the movie Cuties, that is kind of, in my aspect, pedophilia. Because if you're going to sit there and watch 14-year-old girls twerk to find the ones for the movie, you're probably a pedophile. Maybe not a big one, but you probably are a pedophile. And people can attack my character all they want on my beliefs, but I ain't gonna change my mind because you think I'm wrong, or because I don't support your views. There's a lot of things in this world that I want to protect my kids from, but with everything going on that can be seen through just the internet, it's kind of hard to do. I mean, you can call me a racist for supporting Trump, but I don't really trust Biden or the Democrat Party right now because of their track record recently. I mean, you've got one House representative going to a beauty salon during a lockdown and then claiming that they were set up. That does not help them, and they've constantly have done stuff that makes me question a lot of their mental health. I mean, I don't support Biden due to the fact that there is actual signs of corruption from him. And I've heard actual statement talking about it, unedited. So it's not false information. And I know someone's gonna try to claim it was. I don't care. I've spent most of my life living out in the country, and not necessarily country, in the rural areas. And seeing how a lot of these large cities are run, when they're run by Democrats, makes me wonder even more. I mean, yeah, I've been to California. They do a lot of limiting on firearms there. A lot of Democrat-controlled areas have done a lot of limiting on firearms. But if we want things to get better, we can't just attack each other. We have to work on finding common ground and working towards making this world a better place. And if a president actually does something that brings peace, you've got to give him credit for that instead of saying, no, he's not doing a good job for this country. He's not doing what should be done. If he's having peace being brought, means he's doing a good job. Means he's doing what needs to be done to bring peace. There's always going to be enemies to our country. I know that for sure. But if he can take some that are enemies right now and get a peaceful negotiation going with them, then give him credit for it. I mean, the first time Obama ran for office, I actually voted for him because I thought he sounded like he was a good character. But lo and behold, he didn't seem to suit my beliefs. And it just seemed like things were going differently. And that's why I voted for Mitt Romney, if I remember correctly. But I don't care what, I'm going to say this, I don't care what political side you're on. I've tried to avoid talking about this stuff. I try to avoid it on Facebook too, unless I want to annoy someone, because I like to annoy family members. But here's my thing is, I'm not going to kneel for the national anthem. I'm not going to kneel for a tyrant or someone demanding I kneel for them. The only people I kneel for is God, Jesus, if I'm being knighted, or I'm kneeling to listen to someone talk, because there's a large group of us, and kneeling is so people can see the person talking. And I'm going to say this: the individual student that got backlash for bringing out a Blue Lives Matter flag onto a football field, it just seems like people are trying to find ways to be angry about something because they want something to be angry about. Teachers, I'm going to put it this way: BLM movement, Antifa, activist stuff, should not be taught in schools. The civil rights movement, yes. Martin Luther King and all that. That actually is part of history. But teaching your students your political beliefs in school is not right. You should be teaching the kids the history of this country, not the fake history, the true history. Starting in 1776. Yeah, 1776, when this country was originally founded with the Declaration of Independence. And the people who consider, and I'm going to ask this, people who consider the rioting and looting is the same as the Tea Party is different. Because rioting and looting is stealing from citizens and causing more problems for the citizens. The Tea Party was pretty much, about taxes, being taxed without representation. They didn't steal. They didn't take that and they didn't take that tea and take it home and drink it. They dumped it into a harbor, so no one drank it. No one took it. But these individuals that are taking all this, taking TVs and food and all this other stuff that they don't need. I mean, if they took, sometimes some people probably soul food probably desperately need it, but TVs, VCRs, DVD players, whatever you want to call them, that is not the same thing, and it will never be the same thing as the Tea Party. And people need to understand that. And I been going about almost 28 minutes, so I'm gonna cut this off now. So until next time, if they're related by blood, marriage, or adoption, they're family, even if you don't agree politically.